Hello, Frugal Force. Once again, Captain Frugal reporting for duty, and now we're going to tackle the next issue of the Avengers Retrospective. If you remember, just 1 month ago, we covered Avengers issue 1.5, where we actually jumped forward in time to an issue that was written not as long ago, but it was written for a past story to integrate here. Well, we're now jumping to issue number 2. Of course, you can't have an old school comic like this without a lot of fun with one of those classic old school advertisements. You know, these are always hilarious. They're just, they just wouldn't fly today. All male He-Man. Skinny, fat, 15, 30, 20, or 40 years of age. I'll build you into a new athletic, mighty, muscled, all-male He-Man. Yeah, sure. Could you imagine an advertisement like this today? It just would not go over well at all, would it? You can't help but laugh about that. Now, if we actually look into past the advertisement of the page, this is written by none other than, once again, Stan Lee, and it was drawn by legendary, of course, Jack Kirby. Inking by Paul Reinman and lettering by Art Semick. And this issue is battling the Space Phantom. And here we start at the Avengers. This is before they got the big, huge table office, with the A on it and all that. This is at the very start, the foundation of the Avengers. And we have Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, and maybe others as well. And we see Thor, where is Ant-Man? We can't begin our meeting without him. Because they can't. And then Hulk's like, Iron Man, if you don't get this yellow-haired yahoo off my back, I'll boot him up to Asgard for good. Because Hulk and Thor are just not getting along real well together, which, that's okay. That's classic. That's one of the things that makes the Avengers really interesting, is that they had these issues getting along. They just weren't a get-along gang. So next we turn the page, and we see Thor. You dare speak so to the god of thunder? Why, with one blow of my hammer. So you got that nice back and forth with Thor and Hulk, and then he puts his hammer down here. Hold it, Thor. We're all allies, remember. And there we have is Wasp and Ant-Man. 2 more founding members of the Avengers that a lot of the newbies don't realize, or people that only watch the movies tend to not realize, that Ant-Man and Wasp were founding members of the Avengers. Ant-Man, Wasp, Thor, Iron Man, and the Hulk. They mistakenly think Captain America was, which he wasn't. And on top of that, a lot of them don't also realize, but you do if you watch my videos, that the Wasp is the original member that named the team the Avengers. And so we hear like Thor saying, who spoke? And then Hank Pym goes, we're too small. He can't see us. Take a growth pill, partner. And then that's, also a little more information that you realize that they took growth pills to grow and shrink. And so they pop up and they're big and they're in the office and, the amazement's there because this is new science to them. They haven't seen it. I like that because this is a nice introductory. So if you're new to reading, you didn't get the first few issues, you still get a little bit of this information and this introduction and knowledge. It's the old classic, every issue is somebody's first. So you have to write it in a way that's interesting for people that have been reading, as well as people that have never read it before. And that takes some talent. So Hank mentions and explains that they use these pills, and then they get down to the business. And it's sort of funny in this panel. If you look, they got that little table. As I said, this is before they became big and grand. And you see Hulk, well, now that the gang's all here, what do? I ain't in the mood to play spin the bottle. You have to laugh at the classic humor there. And Iron Man's like, even when there is still no task before us, we still meet regularly to get to know each other better. Now that's really cool because they want to know each other better so that they can work together. That's a really good point. And then showing more of the Wasp, interesting character. I'd like to know that adorable Thor better. Sheesh. Because, she was into Thor, which, he's a good-looking guy. I guess most ladies would definitely agree with that. So if we then look at the next page, we see some information and background on the Space Phantom. It says, but little do the Avengers dream that a new danger is hurling towards them at the very moment in the shape of a strange egg-like object. And you see some, thought bubbles there, which we don't see as much in comics anymore. After weeks of faster-than-light travel, I am almost upon my objective. And you see him enter the atmosphere and how he doesn't burn up. And he goes into detail like that. He says, it is done. Phase 1 is complete. Now to find the Avengers and to begin Phase 2, for they will be the real test. If I can destroy the Avengers single-handed, then no power on Earth can stop the total invasion of my people. So in other words, he's going to find out if he can stop the Avengers, he thinks their people can invade, his people can, and then they can take over Earth. I've been observing them from space. I know where they are at this moment. All I need to do is find out a way to reach them without being observed. So we turn the page to the next page and we see, and what easier way can there be than merely imitating the Earthling's form? And so look at this human here. What's happening to me? There. Wow, since your identical bodies cannot coexist, you must be banished to limbo. So whenever he takes over, copies somebody's body, he banishes the other to a limbo. Okay? And notice there, the silent word between shadow and substance. So he tells a little bit about limbo. And there you will remain until I imitate another creature. So whenever he imitates somebody else, then it takes their form, that creature will go to limbo, and the other will be no longer in limbo. Because it's comic book science! And you gotta love that. So we cut back. And we go to the Avengers again. But one thing the Space Phantom does not know is that at the top of their table is really a TV warning screen. Yeah, that's gotta be some fascinating technology that warns you of any kind of danger. I mean, how does that work? Who created this kind of special technology? This is like Minority Report, many, many years before Minority Report existed, which is absolutely fun and phenomenal. And we look at Wasp. Look, an intruder is coming. He's not bad looking. It seems like she finds everybody good looking in this book. Iron Man's like, he looks too sure of himself, as though he knows we're here and he's prepared for us. Really? You got that of looking at a computer monitor for a couple seconds? I'm not trying to roast this comic. I'm having fun with it. Remember the writing time it was in, but it's still a great classic. And Hulk's like, nobody can be prepared for the Hulk. And yeah, that's just something the Hulk would definitely say. And we look over to the next page. Take it easy, big fella. Don't do anything rash. Let's find out what he's up to, says Iron Man. Hulk's like, stow it, Iron Man. We don't need a committee to handle one visitor. Let me take care of him like real gentle-like. Because, the Hulk, he's a rush in first, beat it down, and think later. And remember him and Thor having this issue between each other. So we hear Thor, do not injure him without cause, you savage, or I shall see that you regret it. And this is something cool, too. You've noticed that they actually put a little bit of this in the Avengers movie, and that was a nice touch. Even though they were friendly, they did have that little sparring back and forth part, and I believe that came from this, and how it stemmed from here, even though here it wasn't as friendly as it was in the movie. And we get Hank Pym, easy Thor, no need to steam the Hulk up, there's no stopping him when he goes on a rampage. And so the Hulk goes off, and what's he run into? The Space Phantom. And the Space Phantom pretty much takes him over. Now remember, that's going to put the Incredible Hulk to limbo as he takes over his body. It says how easy it is to replace the helpless humans. Now, as the Hulk, I shall cause the Avengers to fight amongst themselves, to destroy themselves. Because you got a team so powerful that maybe nothing can stop them. How do you beat them? You use your smarts. You get them to fight each other. And so Hulk comes in there here, Hank, what happened, Hulk? Where did the intruder go? And Hulk says, none of your business, stupid. And Iron Man, listen, big man, no matter how tough you are, we don't have to take that kind of talk. Now, I want to bring up a point. Now, in today's comic books, heroes are fighting all the time. Probably so much that it's, for most of us, we wonder if they're ever going to fight the villains. Okay? So when I'm going over this, don't use this issue as a, look, they've always been that way. Yes, the Avengers fight each other, but remember, they're being tricked into fighting each other. That's a common superhero trope, even of the time. And even when they did, they usually, within a very short time, they were back together and fighting within the same issue, not fighting each other for a year and killing each other. That's a big difference in today's issues compared to the past. So right here we have Hulk says, get out of my way, you rust pot, before I peel that armor off of you like a tin can. And Iron Man's like, easy, Thor. I'll handle him, because Hulk wants, says he's going too far and he's going to take him on. And Iron Man says, you seem to think you're the only one of us with super strength. Well, mister, I'm about to show you how wrong you are. Iron Man in his all powerful armors, and so Hulk's like, "Oh, under that iron suit, you're just a puny human, but I don't need any suit. I'm stronger than anybody." Once again, remember, this isn't really the Hulk, though, it's the Phantom. And so they get in a little tussle here, and you see him fighting, and Iron Man's like, "Strange, the Hulk seems more brutal, more merciless than ever. What could have changed him?" So Iron Man's picking up that something's not right. Thor gets in there and swings his hammer, and Iron Man's like, "Look out!" And so the fight ensues. And of course, before we can turn to the next page, we have another fun page of advertisements where you can have the secret weapon, lightning jujitsu. Now you'll be able to overcome any attack with any fight. So yes, you can get this manual and learn how to be a jiu-jitsu warrior. You also can have dancing on the same page here, dancing for all occasions. It's amazing. You can become a great fighter, and then when people make fun of you, you can use your jiu-jitsu to beat the crap out of them. Or you can get the information and book it on drawing for fun. So that way, once again, when you draw and people make fun of you, you can beat them up, or you can learn the keys to hypnotism. So once again, when you try to hypnotize somebody, yes, and it doesn't work, you can beat them up. You gotta love these classic advertisements. So anyway, we turn the page and we get, yes, another advertisement. Another Marvel masterpiece now on sale. And this was for The Amazing Spider-Man #7, which is actually a really good issue. Maybe one day I'll review that in my flashbacks from the stash as well. So anyway, we look to the very next page here, and we have Thor standing between the Hulk and the invincible Iron Man. So yes, we have the Incredible and the Invincible, because remember, we have to have that little word in front of every character to spice them up and make it great. There's something about that just really, really works well. "Listen, long hair, what gives you the right to butt in the way?" You gotta love how Iron Man dresses him with long hair. Remember, Iron Man used to be called Shellhead and all kinds of stuff too. We don't really see that very much anymore. And Thor's like, "My irresistible Uru hammer, for one thing." Tell him, "My hammer's what's standing in the way." And then Hulk, "You may be able to stop Iron Man, but not me. I'm walking out and nobody's stopping me." And he busts through. And you see what the Space Phantom is thinking. So far, so good. I'll give them more time to get on each other's nerves. Because remember, he's trying to pit them against each other. And so as he leaves, he says, "I might as well learn all I can about the unsuspecting humans if they are soon to be my subjects. There is the one whose identity I first took. He returned from limbo at the split second that the Hulk took his place." So they're reminding you, once he takes somebody else's place, that person gets out of limbo and the new person replaces them. And those people are talking about what happened. So then he goes, "I better interrupt them before someone listens, because if they listen, they're going to find out what's going on." And he doesn't want that to happen. And as Solomon teenager fearlessly approaches the lumbering behemoth, "I've been waiting for you. You're starting to lose control. I'd better take you back to your secret lab," because it's none other than Rick Jones, the guy that knows the Incredible Hulk's identity, or should I say young man? And so the Hulk says, "This human knows the Hulk. I must be careful. He must not suspect I am really the Space Phantom." So we turn to the next page and says, "What are you looking at me that way for? I'm on your side, Hulk. I'm Rick Jones." Notice there, introducing the character in a way for new readers. Very good. Maybe Marvel needs to learn this a little bit more on how to continue doing that today, because they're always talking about this is a great jumping on point, things like that. Maybe make it so we don't have to have as many of those jumping on points, so it's less confusing to new readers. Just something to consider. And so then Space Phantom here learns that Hulk has, another identity. "So now behind me so I can climb on your back." That's it. Okay, now take off, because remember, he wants to take him away so that he can figure out what's going on. So as Hulk's jumping there, he said, Rick Jones is like, "Wait, you're going in the wrong direction. I don't get it, Hulk. What's going on? You don't seem to be yourself." And so Space Phantom suspects, of course, that he's understanding something's going on. So he lands, "In fact, I have the urge to boast, brag of what I have done, and what better person to reveal my power to than this, a weak teenager who is helpless without the real Hulk." Because, exposition. These guys always have to tell what their plans are. So he lands down, Rick Jones tumbles off, and he reveals himself to be the Space Phantom. And remember, whenever he takes somebody else's form too, he's going to bring that person back out of limbo. So he shows his true self, and that brings the Hulk back. Let me see that. He told the truth. "Hulk, you're back, quick. The Space Phantom is on your left. Get him." And Hulk's like, "Huh? What happened to me?" And if Space Phantom says, I merely wish to demonstrate that even the most powerful figure on the Earth is merely putty before the power of the Space Phantom. You know, we gotta pump those villains up of how powerful they are. Hulk, wait! Don't fade away! I need you, the world needs you, Hulk! Come back! Screams Rick Jones. And Space Phantom's like, he shall return when it suits my pleasure. And a new identity I will not... in not one instant sooner. So he's showing how powerful he is and that he can pretty much take on and be anybody he wants at any time. Once again, showing the reader just how dangerous this character is. Notice he's showing it, not just telling. And he didn't have to kill somebody to do it, like in a lot of today's comics. On the next page, we see Space Phantom in the Hulk's body say, now, in the powerful identity as the Hulk again, I shall return to the Avengers and finish my task. This time I'll find my way to make them destroy themselves, and Earth shall then be mine for the taking. As for the boy, he is of no further concern. There is nothing he can do to stop me, because he's just a wimpy teenage boy. Once again, underestimating regular humans and how great we can be and the potential we have. That's something I think is very important to show here in these comics. It isn't always about the powers you have and how great you are. It's what you do with what you have. Now, it's sort of funny to remember, Space Phantom left them some time to fight amongst each other. Now he's going to return back and try to make it even worse for him. Let me see Rick Jones. He's leaving. What do I do now? What can I do? And so then we cut to a short distance away where a multiple anti-missile missile gun invented by Anthony Stark is about to undergo a final test. I love that. Anti-missile gun. Can you say that 3 times fast? Anti-missile gun. And so they're testing it, and the Space Phantom jumps into there, and he takes it. There we are. You see him jump through there. On my way to the Avengers, I might as well destroy this weapon. It will be something else the uncomprehending Hulk will be blamed for. Because Hulk gets blamed and misunderstood for everything. That's something that was classic about the character. It's the Hulk. He's stealing our missile gun. They yell. I must have accidentally triggered the device. Good, any damage I can do to the humans' weapons will ultimately benefit me. So he shot it off. If we look at the next page, we have shoes. Will you work Saturday mornings for $5 to $20 extra? The spare time shoe business can make big money for you. So yes, you could be a door-to-door shoe salesman because that's what everybody wants to be for their career. It's amazing how times have changed. We then turn to another cutscene where we go back to Tony Stark, Iron Man, where he's recharging his armor. Do you remember those days you used to plug that old armor into a wall socket and charge it? And then as he does, he gets a call telling him about the gun situation with the Hulk. And so he decides he has to get there. So he goes there and meets up with the Hulk, which is once again really the Space Phantom for another Hulk Iron Man battle, if you will. It is you. I always thought we had made a mistake allowing you to join the Avengers. Now I'm sure of it. Notice that. Hulk is continually dealing with nobody trusting him. That is a key point to this. Nobody trusts him, no matter how much he's trying to do the good thing. Everybody only sees him for face value based off of his looks. I want to point that out. They judge him based off of his looks, not his character. Marvel writers today need to learn from this, because it seems like all they care about is surface traits and sexuality right now. They need to go back to the lessons from 1963 to learn, maybe again, and understand a little bit more about what makes a real hero and understanding people. The Space Phantom in the Hulk's body says, Iron Man reacting just as I hoped he would. How easy it is for the Space Phantom to sow the seeds of distrust and hatred amongst my victims. I'll attack him. I'm sure the body I've imitated is stronger than his. And we look to the next page. But a battle can be won by more than strength. Seizing the Hulk's ponderous hand in his own mighty grip, Iron Man sends a low-voltage electrical charge through his amazing transistor-powered fingertips. And we see that while the real Hulk would have endured this pain and fought back in his normal savage fury that he would have, the Space Phantom possessed neither his courage nor his almost limitless endurance. Another point. Once again, Hulk is more than just strength. Notice that. His courage, his endurance to persevere. This is heroism. True heroes, more than just a power, more than just the suit. Please, Marvel, take some notes. Notice then the Hulk, or should I say Space Phantom, says he's too strong, I've got to escape, which is not something Hulk would have normally done. And Tony Stark picks up on that and says, I don't understand. The electronic charge wasn't powerful enough to cause the Hulk to flee and panic that way. And yet, then we see Space Phantom, I'll imitate the shape of that small flying insect. And so the Space Phantom instantaneously transforms himself into the tiny wasp. The real Hulk reappears from limbo. Because remember, once again, whenever he takes a new form, the other form reappears. So Iron Man's so swift, he has to change bin that Iron Man is unaware of it. Because remember, he transformed into that wasp. So now you've got Iron Man going after the Hulk. And now it's the real Hulk that he's going after. How interesting is that? From there, when we turn the page, we shift back to Rick Jones. And we see, but at the very moment, Rick Jones has reached the nearest member of his nationwide teen brigade and immediately goes into action. Remember, that's the Ham Radio Communications young teenage group. Gosh, Rick, are you really gonna call Giant Man? Yeah, if you'll clam up so I can find the right wavelength. I love that. If you'll clam up. In other words, stop talking, I'm trying to use the phone. So let's see how. So he makes the call. All right, and we see there, we transition there, and he calls Ant-Man. He called Giant Man rather than Ant-Man, so it must be a top priority emergency. So since he called Giant Man, it must be even more important than Ant-Man, because, you know, size matters. So then we see the Wasp. While you double your size, I'll become Wasp size. Here it goes. Did anyone ever tell you that you have the most deliciously blue eyes, Henry Pym? Says the Wasp. And Hank says, be serious, little one. I have a feeling that we've got a strange and dangerous task ahead of us. So remember, right now, Space Phantom transferred himself into a wasp. You know, he took over the wasp body, not the superhero wasp. And now Giant Man's on the way. Meanwhile, Hulk is fighting Iron Man. And if we look at the next page, we have some more fun advertisements like new accordions. Save up to half, because, you know, all kids want to buy an accordion, right? Because that is the coolest instrument ever. And don't get me wrong, I am not picking on Weird Al Yankovic. He is amazing and he is awesome. But let's be honest, otherwise, for most Joes like us, an accordion is not the coolest instrument out there. But hey, if you're Weird Al, you can make it work. So we turn the page once again to get another advertisement for a Marvel product. And we have here Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos issue number 4, which I would strongly recommend if you can get your hands on this series and trade paperback or whatever, you know, a classic, some kind of form, that you check it out. Some pretty cool military comic books with a sci-fi kind of twist. And yes, we have the real original type of, you know, Nick Fury stories and classics. It's really quite good. So if you can ever, maybe give that a little bit of your time. So then to get back into the story on the next page, we see it says minutes later, John, look, it's a giant. Holy smoke. And it's in a costume yet, because they see Giant Man, these people in a car. Well, I feel like a hitchhiker, says the Wasp. So anyway, they get to the battle of Hulk fighting Iron Man. And we hear Hank say, hold it. Take it easy, little fella. Don't do anything you'll regret in the morning. Giant Man, let go, you oversized clown. Hulk's had this coming for a long time. Once again, showing the animosity between the rest of the team and the Incredible Hulk. Now remember, this is no longer the Space Phantom. This is the Hulk hearing this and hearing what they think about him. Stay out of this here, big as you are. I can still demolish you and Iron Man too. And so Giant Man's like, listen to me, both of you. This is insane. We have no reason to fight amongst ourselves. What's happening to us? Iron Man responds, you're right. We're making fools of ourselves. We're acting like kids. And then the Wasp says, Giant Man, I can sense an evil presence here. Be careful. Interesting, she can sense an evil presence. And Hulk's like, you got off pretty easy that time, Shellhead. But if you ever cross me again... And then Iron Man's like, quiet, you brainless gargoyle. Didn't you hear the Wasp? She's hypersensitive to certain stimuli, and she senses trouble. I want to point out this again. Look at how they treat the Hulk. Brainless gargoyle. He's continuously through this, and since the beginning that he was in the Avengers, has been ridiculed for his intelligence, his, you know, how he speaks, his actions, everything he does. And it's building up his animosity towards the team, which is going to be important for later on. So as we turn to the next page, we see that the Wasp's instincts Instincts, half female intuition, half insect super sense, proved to be right for minutes later. Now, before that, notice that. They're not treating women as damsels, always in distress. That whole feminism bull crap and everything push. Now, granted, there's some positivity to feminism. Don't get me wrong there. I think all women should be able to do what they want and try to, do whatever they feel. And they have the ability to do it for most part as well, just like us. Any of us have for most part. And the reason I say most part is because I'm not a big believer in we can do anything we want. Because let's be honest, if I decided I want to be in the NBA, it's not going to happen. Okay? It's just not for me. I don't have the talent and I don't have the years behind me to train and do that. All right. Well, anyway, the Space Phantom, remember, took the form of an insect, a wasp, if you will. So now the wasp of Space Phantom is attacking the wasp. A wasp attacking me? But that's impossible unless it's not a genuine wasp. A few hundred yards away, Giant Man's new amazing cybernetic helmet picks up the impassioned impulses of the wasp's frantic battle. The wasp is in danger, and they show this see-through way they drew the panel that you could see the inner workings of the helmet. And I always thought that was really cool. So Hank Pym takes off on a dash to save the wasp. Follow me! And so they're on their way. Here we are, but everything seems normal. Though this door, the impulses are getting stronger. Because remember, they're real small, they're hard to see. And there we see the Space Phantom, guided to the wasp by his sensitive helmet. The Giant Man doesn't notice an astonishing change taking place behind him. I no longer need my wasp shape. I see a far better one to borrow. And of course, who else he sees but is Hank Pym. So boop. But before the 12-foot high adventurer can turn around, the Space Phantom has taken his identity, and that means the real Giant Man gets, teleported to limbo. And then we see, thank you, female human, for acting as a decoy for me, as he captures the wasp. I saw what's happening. You're not Giant Man. You've taken his form somehow, but you're not him. And then the Hulk's up to the Giant Man, which is now the Space Phantom. I saw it too. I don't know how you took over Giant Man's body, but that must be what happened to me too. So my secret is out. Well, no matter. I realize now that I have no need for secrecy. So at this point now, he's become so full of himself, he doesn't feel that he needs to cause the Avengers to fight himself. He believes he can beat them on his own. So the fight ensues as we see the Hulk fighting the Space Phantom in Hank Pym's Giant Man form, and we see the Wasp flying by saying, I've got to get help. If only I could find Thor. When we turn to the next page, we see the battle, ensuing and continuing to fight on. This is only a sample of what you'll get unless you bring back the real Giant Man. So Hulk is, going at him good. And then all of a sudden, but moving with unexpected speed, the alien in the double-sized human body drives Anthony Stark's latest invention, a tank-like moon tractor, straight towards the waiting Hulk. You dare to threaten the Space Phantom? And it's coming right at the Hulk and pinning him against the wall. And you see Hulk with his legs and his back against the wall say, yeah, I dare. Wham! I love that scene there. He just says wham, those classic words showing power and the strength of the Hulk. My moon vehicle, Giant Man, what's going on? So Tony sees that his moon vehicle's flying back at him, wondering what the heck is going on here. Ha, I am agile enough to leap to safety, but Iron Man is not. So as the Space Phantom leaps to safety, that Iron Moon vehicle is racing right at Iron Man. And before we can see what's next, we see another advertisement with live seahorses, includes free trapeze and hatching shrimp circus, which... wow, I wonder how many people bought those sea monkeys for that stuff. It's just crazy. Or a darling pet monkey. Or adorable pet hamsters you could get. Or you could, if you want to earn money, you could sell grit. This paper called grit, which of course you're probably not going to make much money off of. We skip over a couple more pages of ads. The next 2 pages were ads, so I'm skipping over those. And we see, remember, that truck was rushing at Iron Man. But in one split second, Iron Man presses a stud on his chest armor panel, causing his iron suit to become rigid and magnetizing his iron boots solidly to the floor, so that now he becomes an immovable object. And then that vehicle that he created busts all around him in his powerful armor. As you see the Space Phantom over him, he says, so it seems that each of you Avengers is more powerful than I had expected. But no matter, even your combined might is not great enough to save you from the Space Phantom, because his delusions of grandeur is clearly catching up with him. but the others approach. I must act quickly. I shall now take Iron Man's form. Neither the Hulk or Giant Man will suspect till it's too late. So remember, once again, he takes the form. The other person comes out of limbo. So Hank Pym is now back, or should I say Giant Man reappears. I'm back from limbo, but how can we ever defeat the quick-changing Space Phantom? Hulk says, come on, Giant Man. Don't just stand there. He turned himself into Iron Man. I saw him grab him before he could change again. Ah, interesting. If you look at the next page, is that the battle continues. In Stark's Long Island factory, the Wasp desperately seeks help from the one remaining member of the Avengers that we still haven't seen in this fight. And what do? We see another other than Don Blake, the Doctor, the other form of Iron Man, which we don't have this anymore, which might be an interesting thing to take the character back to. That'd be very interesting to see. So anyway, the Wasp moves the pencil there so you can see trouble at Stark Factory. Need Thor. So Donald Blake sees that. Wait outside in the reception room while I send for Thor. Will do, Doc, because she doesn't realize yet that actually he is Thor. She was just knowing that she can get to Thor by contacting him. He'd be real dreamy if he was a little huskier, she says. If you notice that she seems to be into every guy here. So satisfied that he is safe from prying eyes, the lame, mild-looking Doctor stamps his walking stick once upon the floor, and then, boom, we see he transforms into Thor, who summons the God of Thunder. And then you hear, I, the Wasp. And so he's off on his way as she is telling the story to him, so he's caught up on what's going on. Now, here's another thing. Look at the dialogue here. The Wasp he thinks this, not says it. He sounds like a burlesque of a comic hero in Mad Magazine, but with those shoulders, those eyes, who cares how corny he talks? So she thinks, he looks absolutely phenomenal, but sounds like a goof. So as you see, as Thor appears, Iron Man using his transistors-powered jet stream disc to keep the Hulk and Giant Man at bay. He must be the Space Phantom. And we see the Hulk, those air jets have to run out of steam sooner or later, and when they do, and we see Giant Man, easy Hulk, here comes Thor, now the gang's all here. And we see Wasp, I'm getting tired of flying around like Peter Pan's little Tinkerbell. It's time I did something, and I know just the thing to do. Because even back then, once again, this dispels the silly rhetoric and logic of these SJWs. Wasp was powerful. Wasp was smart. She, and she had her own voice. It's amazing how people miss stuff like this. She says, it's too small for the Space Phantom, and she's thinking this. To notice, so I'll slip under his jet discs. There, I snipped the main control cable. And then you see Thor, once the Space Phantom is defeated, we'll find a way to return the real Iron Man. And he throws his Euro hammer. And you see the Space Phantom, my jet disc has been tampered with. Which, how does he know how does he know that? How did he know that technology already? But that's comics. And you see the hammer, Thor's hammer, turn my high-intensity magnetic repulsors on it, because otherwise he's going to get smashed by that hammer. We look at the next page, and the hammer zips back. I have lost the element of surprise. He is prepared for me. And so now we also have Thor in the fight with Space Phantom. So we see Space Phantom. Now the battle reaches its final phase. Once I have vanquished you, Thor, all of Earth will feel the fury of the attack by the phantoms from space. So once again, remember, his goal is if he can beat the Avengers, then they believe they can take over. Not so, thou braggart. Earth is under my protection. This I have pledged with my life. And so he taps his hammer onto the ground, or bashes it on the ground. It does look powerful. Behold, the fury of the storm is mine to command. See how the very elements obey my will. And then we see the rain pouring down. He pounded that hammer of his, and the storm started. I could feel the rain affecting my armor. Now this is hilarious. There you are, helpless now, unable to move, for the rain rusted him. The rain rusted his armor within a few seconds. That is the fastest rust you will probably ever see in the world. So now, the Space Phantom says, such overconfidence will cause your downfall, the same as did the others. I do not need the power to move, not when I can imitate anyone I choose. And so for the final indignity to you, I choose your body, Thor, and I sentence you now to limbo. But no sooner are the words spoken than the totally unexpected occurs. No, this is impossible. I'm going to limbo instead of you. But how? Your power only affects humans, but I am the god of thunder. Like, he knew that? How did Thor know this? He didn't. I guess he just got lucky. And as for Space Phantom's power backfires against him, the real Iron Man returns from limbo, having been replaced by the awesome alien himself. I am back. It has ended, Iron Man. We have won. Let me see Iron Man. But what happens when the Space Phantom returns? Giant Man / Ant-Man / Hank Pym, because yes, he's a man of multiple identities, and this becomes more important as issues go on, and a great character part about this character, an interesting story about him. He's not likely to. He'll have to remain in limbo until someone comes to replace him. Then Hulk says, that means he stays there forever. And then Thor says, it is strange, for most of our battle, we thought we were fighting each other. We never suspected. And then Hulk stops him. I never suspected how much each of you hate me. Deep down, I could tell by the way you fought me, by the remarks you made. Think about that. How much they hate him. You know, all the way through these last couple issues, issue 1 here and now 2, Hulk has been getting nothing but treated like a second-class human. That's something to really think about. And so therefore, he said, well, I don't need any of you. I'm still the Hulk. I'm still the strongest thing walking the earth. And whatever I do from now on, I'll do it alone. And we see the Wasp. Thank heavens he's leaving. He terrified me. She didn't get it. They completely missed what happened there. Hank says, perhaps he did, Wasp, but he'll be more dangerous than ever now. And then Thor says, without the Avengers to keep him in check, what will he do next? Think about this. The Hulk was a guy that wanted nothing more to be left alone, but yet wanted to also do the right thing and help others when that opportunity came to be. But all throughout that time, nobody trusted him or respected him. The only thing they respected is the damage that he could do, and they were all afraid of him. That's something to really take to heart and think about judging others. To really get to know somebody. You go on to Twitter and things like that, and people are judging constantly by one political view or whatever it may be. They vilify somebody. Maybe we all can learn something from Avengers, issue number 2. And it says, next issue, the Hulk teams up with one of your favorite super characters to battle the Avengers. So I'm going to stop here and remind you. Come back next time if you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to hit like and subscribe. Hit that notifications bell so that way you hopefully will get notified of more. Also, tell others. Share this so that they can also enjoy some of these classic comics and take a step back and think about them and maybe get a little bit more knowledge and understanding of what makes a true hero. And until next time, keep it frugal.